We all know that the Eagles have skill position players that are going to help this offense thrive. You got Deshaun Jackson's speed added to the offense, right? You got Zach Ertz, Nelson Aguilar, Alshon Jeffrey, J.J. Arcega-Whiteside. If we can use him in the red zone, he will be an elite threat. We have tons of weapons. And it comes down to this question with those weapons. How good does Carson Wentz need to be? The Eagles season is upon us. Make sure you go get your tickets and use the promo code BROJ for $20 off. You know you want to go see your squad play at the stadium. You know you want to go crazy, freaking out, have some cold ones, and go nuts to see your squad win. Well, why not do it? Use that $20 on a beer because you know they're so damn expensive. What is going on, everyone? Interesting question. How good does Carson Wentz need to be? Does he have to be an MVP of the league to take this team to the top? Or do we have the type of players on this offense where he just somewhat needs to, I don't want to say manage the game, because he's clearly not just a game manager, okay? His skill set is way above that. But to an extent, if he just manages the game with the weapons that we have, he might not have to be this MVP of the league. But I will say this, because he has so many great players around him, because he's going to have so many options, his numbers might look better than just game manager, and he might have numbers that will put him in the question of MVP because of how talented the offense is. Now, this dates back to a conversation I had last year about Mike Groh and this offense. It comes down to if he can really implement, him and Doug Peterson can really implement a scheme where this offense can take off. Because we had a lot of trouble last year with scoring, especially early in first quarters, and we couldn't put the team in a great position with a lead. We always had to come back and fight back being down. We need to see Mike Groh and Doug Peterson come up with a game plan that will really be beneficial to the players in this offense, and I will expect that out of them. It didn't work so much last year, I won't lie, but because they had an off season together, because they had a full season to look back at tape and see what went wrong and what they can fix, I will give them the benefit of the doubt and say they will be able to come up with some sort of structure to get everyone going and to get going early in football games. Carson Wentz, if he goes out there, he keeps it simple, he doesn't overthink, he's not holding on to the ball too long, you see your open guy, you hit your open guy. Not every play has to be a home run. You can check it down, hit someone in the flat. We're going to be okay. Everyone's a little I was going to say tight, because Carson didn't take any preseason snaps. But there was a few articles over the last couple days, one specifically out of The Athletic, and Zach Berman wrote it. He's one of my favorite Eagles reporters. And it's about Carson Wentz, and it's about his new mentality and everything that happened last year, where he is now with his mindset. And it looks like Carson Wentz is just in a different mode when it comes to his mind. And that's huge. One of the big things Carson was talking about in this article was the fact that he got out all of his frustration. He was clearly disappointed, upset, emotional with everything that went down the last few years in regards to the injury, not being able to play football, and I understand that completely. But he went to his pastor and let out everything. And it helped. It helped his mindset. It helped his focus level. Because it was released from him. And it's not just that. All right, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that Carson Wentz is going to be great this year because he got out his frustration. No, but that's just one step. Because he also changed his diet insanely. He looks leaner. He looks way leaner. In a good way, though. He also got a little bit of this. And that could play a factor when it comes to how players think when they're out on the field. It's not so much, what happens if I don't have a good year? What happens if this? What happens if that? No. Hey, you got the contract. You're our guy. You're ready to go. Just go out there and play. People sometimes, players, focus on the money aspect of it and they put too much stress on themselves. And speaking of stress, that goes into what Carson was talking about. He is stress-free now. But one of the biggest things that was reported was the way that he interacts with his locker room. And we remember that there was an article where he got ripped apart for not being a good teammate, and there were people in the locker room that hated him, and the whole Philadelphia fan base freaked out. I remember. He has made an obvious effort to be more open to the entire team. It seemed like he was very offense-friendly, if you will. He would hang out with the receivers, he'd hang out with the offense, but he didn't connect too much with the defensive side of the ball and players and whatnot. See, I don't know how that feels because I've always been a part of a hockey team where there were 20 guys. All right, 20 guys, your family, you do everything together. 53 is a lot of people. It is. And I'm not saying it's... I'm not giving an excuse to Carson Wentz because there's 53 people, all right? But that's a ton of people to connect with all the time, especially when you are the leader of the crew. But he's made an obvious effort going out to dinner with some of the defensive players, hanging out with some of the defensive players, relaxing, being more friendly with the guys. And Doug Peterson has praised the way that he has stepped into a different type of role as a leader. You can see that he's making a huge effort to fix that problem of him being so focused on just hanging out with the offensive guys. And that goes a long way with the players. And it goes a long way with the locker room. Because that's the guy. The connection with the guy goes a long way. All of these reasons is why I believe that Carson Wentz is going to step in and be a great quarterback for us this year. He does not have to be MVP Carson Wentz. He doesn't have to be. He needs to be someone who can manage the game well, and his numbers will look MVP-ish because of the fact that we have an elite group of guys surrounding him. How about the fact that last year we had to scream our heads off at Doug Peterson to run the football with Josh Adams? Hey, do you realize now that our running back core is now Jordan Howard, Miles Sanders, and Corey Clement, and Darren Sproles if we elect to use him in that role? That's going to make this offense even better and even easier for Carson Wentz. We were throwing, run. This year, it's going to be completely different because we have backs that are way better. And it's going to open up the field and open up the options for Carson all game long. Now, I need a sip of coffee. I'll be honest with you. I do. I need a sip of coffee here. As you know, I am a coffee addict. And I just woke up this morning. Can barely keep my eyes open. That is amazing. But I'm happy to see Carson. I'm excited to see him. I think he's in a good place. He looks lean. He's on that diet. He's taking care of his body. He took that so seriously this offseason, and you can see it. You can really see it. The way Doug Peterson's been praising him. Just the way that he has prepared himself moving forward. There are quarterbacks in this league that went through some injuries early in their career and then they find a way to stay healthier. It's not like crazy to think about. There are quarterbacks in this league that have done it. Can Carson Wentz be that quarterback? We're going to have to see how it goes. But another day closer, another day inching into some football. Tomorrow at least we have an NFL game, but we're creeping towards Sunday at 1 o'clock when we see Washington coming into the link with that offensive line. Oh, our defensive line should eat against that crew in Washington. Eat. They are a 9.5 point favorite, the Eagles are. And listen, That's a little hefty for me. I am probably going to take money line and parlay it with some other things because they're a heavy favorite, of course. 9.5 though, that's a lot of points for me. I don't know if I'm going to take that. Doesn't mean the Eagles aren't going to win the game a little, with some ease. But I don't like the spread. Let me know your thoughts down below on Carson Wentz and how good he needs to be. How good does he need to be? Thank you guys so much for watching. Hit that thumbs up button, subscribe, and I will see you next time.